to the Mango Effect podcast, where every week we talk about the path to living a limitless life and having the freedom to do it your way. No topics are off limits. We get into the practical, the hypothetical, and the downright juicy stuff. I'm Mindy Rosser, your host and lifestyle cheerleader, and I'm here today to talk about how to scale your business for more impact. So a lot of us who listen to the show, I know, I hear from you. Many of you are entrepreneurs. And as you are growing, as you are discovering your path, you may be noticing that you really want to scale. A lot of times we hear this concept of, I want to scale my business, I want to grow, I want to automate, all of these things. And at some point in most entrepreneurs' journeys, we realize we want to go bigger. We want to create more impact, and that often translates to more revenue. Sometimes immediately, a lot of times not right away. So the stories we often hear are related to someone who went from 0 to 6 figures in like 12 months. Or, $1 million in their first 12 months. What we don't often hear about is how long it actually took them to get to that point. Many of those success stories that we hear are based on someone who had a solid business. They understood being a digital entrepreneur or whatever type of business that they have. In my case, digital entrepreneur. And so you kind of know the space. You may have clients on the side. You may have an agency model. And so when you decide that you want to scale, you already know your business. You know your subject matter areas of expertise. You know what you're talking about. You know what you're selling. You know who your clients are. And so literally you aren't really going from 0 to 6 figures. Basically what you're doing is you are changing your path and scaling and doing another offer. And if you have an audience that is large enough, it's really simple to make that transition. If you have enough money in the bank or a rich grandparent who can loan you a lot of money to actually invest in cold traffic and ads, yeah, you can go from 0 to 6 figures really quickly. I think what is often missing from this piece is, what about those of us, I'm raising my hand, who are the breadwinners for the family? We have a business. We really want to support our families, support ourselves, while we're also trying to scale and go and do this crazy thing of growing our business when we have a pretty comfortable life, but we want more. And what do we do if we don't have like this bottomless pit of reserves that we want to tap into for our businesses? And this is something that has always been top of mind for me, at least over the last 5 years. I noticed that I was developing expertise. I specialize in LinkedIn marketing and social selling and sales and how sales and marketing work together. I really enjoy helping clients build their personal brands. I love helping people refresh their LinkedIn profiles and look good online so they feel confident whether they are looking for their next job or whether they're trying to fill their pipeline with their ideal prospects. So for me, that's my area of expertise. But what I have been doing has been much more on the done for you side. So if you're not familiar with that term, it means that I pretty much manage people's LinkedIn accounts. I'm on the back end. I'm, sending messages. I'm identifying prospects. I have a team who helps me make all of the things happen within that process. But I'd like to extract myself from that or do a little less of that and focus much more on helping people learn how to do it for themselves or training or more of that DIY or done with you. So do it yourself or do it with me versus me doing everything. So it's been a journey, I will just say. So let's see. From when I'm recording this, it's been about, I would say, close to 18 months when I decided that I really did not want to continue down this path of being pretty much like a LinkedIn marketing agency, social selling agency. I really wanted to transition. In my mind, I had this idea that it was just going to happen overnight. I'm like, I have enough followers. I have enough of an audience. I have a tiny email list, but I bet it's not that hard. Like I have marketing chops. I was so confident. I will just say, I was like, I could do this. I could totally do this. I can make way more money and it'll be super fast. 12 months, just give me 12 months. I will go hard on this. I will do all the things that the experts say to do and I will create this business machine. Well, we are 18 months later and I still feel like I am just figuring it out. So one of the things that I have looked at to scale my business, to grow and, change the impact that I am having has been around creating a course. So I actually started with a program called Digital Course Academy by Amy Porterfield. And I joined that in the beginning of 2021. It's a really good course. I will actually put a link in the comments because I am going to be sharing more news about her program down the road because it is just so helpful for those of you who really want to create a course. She's very focused on courses. So if you're thinking group programs or cohort style, that's not really her thing. But if you are really wanting to learn the ins and outs of how to create a course, what that looks like, marketing and webinars, it's a really good program. It's solid. And I started there and it opened my eyes to the possibilities. The thing was, I started comparing myself to all of these people that were going through the same course. We were in the same class, I guess, if you wanted to call it that. And they were having these 5 and 6 figure launches like right out of the gate. And I was getting so frustrated because I'm like, I would love to hit just 5 figures with my launch. My first launch right after going through DCA was, I would say, pretty much flopped. I spent a good amount in ads. I did not make it back. I had 2 customers and one of them asked for a refund. So it was one of those moments in time where I was just like, does this thing actually work? I put my heart and soul into it. I was creating a course, like this really fleshed out course for one person. And it was so frustrating every week when I'm like spending hours creating content for this one person that I hoped was actually going through the course. Wasn't quite sure. It was devastating, to say the least. And I think there's a lot of misconceptions around this model and this business type. It takes time. So if you are thinking you're just going to hop into it, you're going to learn the ropes, you're going to create a machine, if you have enough money, like if you have a lot of resources, if you have like $100,000 that you can just kind of plug into ads, getting on the right radar of the right people, and you're really good with messaging, you could hire a team, I think go for it. Like you probably will see results pretty quickly, especially if you have the chops for it. But I think for those of us who are a little more grassroots, like, I'm supporting my family while I'm trying to make this big transition. I'm turning down clients that I could be working with because I want to make this transition. So for me, it was not like that. So over the past several months since that time, that was about just over a year ago from when I'm recording this, I have done a lot of inner work, and I feel like that inner work has been so powerful, and that is starting to influence like the content and the way that I want to share and engage with people. And I have noticed after that, I would call it a failed launch, I have continued to launch. So I didn't let it stop me, although I will say I have my moments when I'm talking to my partner and I'm like, I don't want to do this anymore. I can't launch again. The roller coaster emotions are just too much, but I have made it a habit to launch every quarter. So let's see, I think this is my 5th. I'm right at the tail end of my 5th launch, and it's been a journey. Definitely been a journey, but I have learned something every single time. And what happens when you launch every quarter is that you get into the habit of knowing what goes into your launch. When do you do well? What actually works? What translates to revenue? When did you overspend on ads? Are these people actually converting to new business for you? Do you need to change your approach? There are so many really neat lessons that we learn along the way. So even if you're not interested in online businesses, I feel like this is still going to be applicable because a lot of us can relate to those growing pains, to that transition period where we are struggling to see the success and we're thinking, is this even worth it? Should I just go back to what I was doing before? And there's something that I have learned. It's something that stuck with me, and I had to talk about it this week. And I'm actually writing like kind of an essay around the topic because it is really got me and I've been thinking about it. So when we think about business and revenue, careers, and, making more money, money is good, but momentum is priceless. I'm going to say that again. Money is good, but momentum is priceless. There is something to be said for momentum. You cannot put a dollar amount on it. And when you are launching or when you are putting all of that energy, even if you aren't launching, even if you have a different business model, when you are putting all of that energy and that enthusiasm and your heart and soul and the tears into your business or your career, you are gaining momentum. And that doesn't necessarily translate to dollars in your bank account immediately. Sometimes it does, but sometimes it takes a while. But that momentum is something you wouldn't give away for the world. My partner and I were talking about this, and I was having a down moment. I've talked about them here on the podcast. I keep it real. I was having a down moment, and I'm like, I could just go back to like a nice 6-figure job, chief marketing officer somewhere. It'll be good enough. And then I'm kind of stuck in the grind, but I can work remotely. I'm sure it'll be fine. He's like, but Mindy, what about that momentum thing? He's like, right now, the signs are all pointing towards the momentum. You have spent the last 18 months working your tail off trying to build momentum, and you cannot build that overnight unless you have a lot of ad dollars. But still, ad dollars do not translate to actual raving fans. It's, getting you in front of the right audience. Even if I did have all those ad dollars, still the momentum is really what I'm after. And when we are launching, and this is something I'm learning also, I'm a part of another program, and I think I've talked about it before, but James Wedmore, Business by Design, what I have learned in that program over the past year, so I joined that program after DCA, after Amy Porterfield's, and it's been really, really good. But what I have learned there is that you got to launch, you're going to launch again, you're going to launch again, you're going to launch again. And there was one person that mentioned her story where she said she launched 9 times before she actually hit that 5-figure mark. I'm like, 9 times? Really? 9 times. That is a heck ton of time and a lot of launching and a lot of stuff on the back end that people do not see. But she's like, if I wouldn't have done that, she's like, I wouldn't be hitting these 6-figure launches that I'm having today. And it just got me thinking about, wow, she had to build up that momentum. Each one of those launches, she was building momentum. People started understanding what she sold. They knew she was going to offer it again. She was building trust. New people were coming into her world. There are people that are cycling out. But that momentum, you can't buy it. And when you have it, you have to hold on to it and you've got to value it. And when we devalue momentum, I think that's when we lose that traction that we're after. It is not just about making that immediate money. It's about generating that momentum. And sometimes you have to hang on for a little while before that money shows up. And I know exactly how that feels. And I love metaphors. And there was a metaphor I was thinking about. I love surfing. I talk about it a lot. So momentum to me is really like reading the swell. So for those of you who are not into like swell and surfing and reading waves and all of that, basically if you want to master any type of ocean activity, you have to be able to read the swell. So for example, a new surfer, they only know to check the surf cam. So basically there are these cameras that look at surf spots, so you can check them. Like you can go online, it's called Surfline. You go to Surfline, you check the surf cams. Does it look good? Does it not look good? Okay, I'll go out if it looks good. So a new surfer, that's what they do. And that's what I've done up to this point. I still check the surf cams. I still haven't learned exactly how to read the swell. So you look at the surf cams and you go, is it look good enough? I'll go out. If it doesn't look good enough, I won't. So the risk there is that you don't know what's going to happen over the next few hours. You don't know how the swell is going to change. You don't know if the wind is going to kick up. All of these other elements that just checking the surf cams is not going to tell you. So by the time that you wax up your board, get into your wetsuit, make your trip to that spot, you may notice that what you thought you saw on those surf cams is like really crazy whitewater, mismatched swells, something that is just not pleasant to ride with lots of rips and, I've been there and I've done that. So the thing is with surfing, it's really about understanding the swell. When you understand the swell, then you can actually time when you're going to go to the surf spot. So you don't even have to look at the cams many times. If you understand the swell, if you understand your strategy, you know your skills, you understand storm patterns, you watch the buoy, you pay attention to the weather, you are in tune with your environment, then you get that momentum when it comes to surfing. And it's really, really helpful to develop that skill over time because then you match your energy to the momentum of the swell and the momentum of the wave, and you have better surf sessions. But this is a long-term game. This is a long-term strategy. If you want to become a good surfer, doesn't have to be, not a great surfer because not all of us are destined to be that. But if you want to be a proficient surfer, you have to learn how to read the swell, and you have to learn where that momentum is coming from and playing that surfing game more strategically. So what does this have to do with success? You're like, okay, Mindy, that's great. I just got a surf lesson. Didn't know all that about surfing. And now I know to check the buoys and not just look at the Surfline cams. So too many budding entrepreneurs, like me, we get obsessed with exactly how much money we are making right now, and then we get frustrated because we're not further ahead with where we think we should be. Successful Sally over here just had a 6-figure launch on her 3rd attempt, and you're still trying to hit 5 figures after launching a half dozen times. That would be me. So it feels like we're checking the cams and getting frustrated because every time we go out for a surf, we end up on a paddling treadmill. So during all of that unsuccessful time where, we paddled out trying to hit that monetary goal, we unwittingly, actually, the side effect of that is that we build momentum due to our efforts and the repetition. So sometimes we are seeing the money and all we can see, like our goal, we're like, okay, I'm looking for the money or I'm looking for that perfect wave. But we don't understand the momentum behind all of these activities that we take will lead us to that perfect wave. For example, that new surfer, they're looking and trying to figure out how to ride a wave. They're trying to figure out how to read the swell and looking for that perfect wave. And they're like, wow, why does that guy just always keep hopping on the waves? He's always in the perfect spot. Well, that person has had a lot of repetition and probably a lot more than we have had. So when it comes to momentum, it's about repetition. The more reps we can put in, the faster we're going to get that momentum. And when we stop focusing on trying to catch the perfect wave every single time, and we focus on putting in our reps, we're going to get that momentum. There's no other way around it. And that is the key. It's not about measuring how much money we have in our bank account, which is what I would say 90% of new business owners do, and quit because they cannot afford to value that momentum. It's really about saying, okay, let me look at my business now. I'm going to look at my numbers. I'm going to see where I am. Don't, hide behind not looking at your numbers and decide you're going to make silly, irresponsible money and moves and mistakes. You still want to look at your numbers, but you also want to look at the KPIs, your key performance indicators, for momentum. And where is that leading you and what is that telling you? So you've got the hard metrics. You've also got the squishy metrics. And I have a business mentor and his name is Jeff Robbins. He has a great blog. It's called JJeff. So 2 J's, jjeff.com. And he talked about this. He said, why don't we always measure the squishy metrics? I'll have to link to the blog in this episode because it's really, really good. And he talks about the feeling that so many CEOs have where it's like they value their business monetarily, but they don't always value the squishy metrics. And sometimes we have to look at the squishy metrics, and momentum is one of those squishy metrics. And momentum is better than money because when you have momentum, that money will come. When you don't have momentum, though, I think it's understanding the signs when the momentum is not there, being able to pick up on that and say, okay, I probably shouldn't keep putting in reps because the momentum is not showing up. So those are some easy ways to spot danger signs. When you notice that something is not picking up momentum, what are you going to do in that moment to change and course correct? A lot of times it's not a major shift. A lot of times it's something a little more subtle. But momentum will help you get to that money or that monetary goal. It will help you to scale your business for impact in a smart way. And patience is required. So keep that in mind. It's just been something that's been on my heart, and I'm like, I've got to share this momentum thing. It's like, because in my personal life right now, I see so much momentum with my business, with the podcast, with my relationships, with my professional development, with the inner work I'm doing, with my relationships with my kids, with my partner. It's really interesting to see all of that momentum, and sometimes I forget because I keep thinking that I should be further ahead. I should be a better mom. I should be a better partner. I'm not doing this or that. I should have a bigger team. I should be having 6-figure launches consistently. But I have to bring it back to, at the right time, the right place, when I am actually ready for that, the universe will know and it will happen at the right time. But I have to be patient. I have to see those little breadcrumbs that I'm on the right track. I'm going to value those breadcrumbs. I'm going to value that momentum because so many people don't have it. And if you're just getting started, you may not have that momentum. So that's okay. You're going to get started. You're going to start putting in your reps, and you are going to start noticing that momentum. And when it starts happening, you're going to value it. And when you start valuing it, the money comes. You're able to help more people. Because to me, momentum is not just about getting rich. It's like, okay, I'm going to get rich. I'm going to buy my North Shore Oahu house right on overlooking Pipeline. and sit with all my rich neighbors. That's not really what it's about for me. I mean, yes, I want the house. Yes, I want the freedom to do whatever I want during the day, but I really want to help people. And at the heart of it, that is what I want to do. I want to write things. I want to speak things. I want to say things that inspire and motivate people to become their best selves, to live a lifestyle that they actually enjoy, that empowers them, that is outside the lines, that allows them to do what they feel called to do or what they want to do. And that's what it's all about. So my challenge for you this week is to look at your life. It doesn't have to be business. I know we talked a lot about business, but it could be about something else. It could even be a hobby. It could be surfing for that matter. Like, do you have momentum? Now, don't ask me about surfing. On a complete side note, I do not have any momentum with my surfing right now. I just totally dinged up my board. I paddled out to a new spot and I got smashed on the reef. I was trying to make it over a break and a set came and there went my pretty twin fish board. It's all smashed up on the bottom, but it will get fixed. It will get repaired. So I will get my momentum back on my surfing. But when it comes to momentum, back to the topic, it's about valuing it. It's about looking where we do have momentum. It's looking where we don't have it and we want to create it. And where can we start putting in those reps so that momentum starts happening? It's kind of like when you think about, I don't know, like an avalanche. You think of like how that snow just avalanches, it kind of like gains more steam and more power all the way down the hill. It's very similar to that when it comes to momentum. Like once it gets going, it just continues to gain more traction. It gains more steam. It gains more power and impact and create that momentum in the right places in your life. And you're going to experience a lot of wonderful things. You're going to notice, like when you start noticing, like, wow, like sometimes I just have to think, I'm like, my kids are really happy right now. Like I must be doing something right with parenting, or they're just in that happy phase, 6 and 8. Those are beautiful ages, not at the teenage years yet, but those moments where I think, wow, I don't remember being that happy as a kid. I don't remember having summer vacations like my kids are experiencing right now. We have momentum in the parenting department right now. I'm going to appreciate that momentum. So where can you appreciate some momentum this week? Where do you want to create momentum? Where do you not have it? And you're thinking, okay, I've got to get back to the drawing board, just like me with my surfing. I've got to go have a good surf session. And I'm going to go and get that momentum because I want it back. And you know when you have it and you know when you don't. And where can you look for the signs of momentum where you're maybe a little bit frustrated and you wish you were further along, wish you were further ahead? It's not going as quickly as you hoped, but you can say, you know what? I do notice a little bit of momentum, and if I'm patient and I'm persistent, I will get there. So I'd love to hear your thoughts on this topic around momentum, scaling business. Where are you noticing it? Let's chat about momentum. It's such a fun topic to talk about. So DM me on Instagram to share your take on momentum, scaling your business, where you might be struggling, what you want to talk about next too, because I think we could probably do a follow-up episode on this because there's so much more that we could dig into here. I'm also on TikTok and I have been pretty good about posting there. So Instagram and TikTok at Mango Effect Podcast. I'll be posting more snippets there. Also, we're in mango season right now, so you'll probably see some more mango videos and reels and tiki-takis and such on those channels. So let's encourage and inspire each other this week. And if you are curious to learn more about how to scale your business for more impact, or you're like, Mindy, you talked about this online business thing and I don't even know what a digital entrepreneur is, or creating courses, all that good stuff, I highly recommend another podcast called Online Marketing Made Easy with Amy Porterfield. I mentioned her a little bit at the beginning, but she is just really good at helping people who are just getting started in trying to learn about the ins and outs of online businesses. So if you are a brand spanking newbie or you just like online business podcast, Amy Porterfield is fantastic. So I'll put a link in the show notes. It's an awesome podcast with practical tips and tricks for both new online business owners and entrepreneurs, along with those of you who are just looking to add, another stream of revenue to your business model so you can start scaling for more impact and get that momentum like we talked about today. All right. I will talk with you on the next episode. Have a beautiful rest of your week. Bye for now.